V2 of Infernu is more ambitious than the first version, seeing some large changes. I'm happy to say that I was able to include a lot of your suggestions from V1. This video will go through the ones that I included and why they could help improve this map. If through playtesting we discover they don't, I'll revert them back to how they were in the previous version. No harm done. Let's start with Banana. I added a roof vine thing here. I know, right? What have I done? I know this is a ridiculous addition, but it lets players bounce grenades into bombsite B from Banana, which was accidentally removed when I raised the skybox height in the previous version. I'm not going to bother making this into a proper structure. Like I said, this project is to test gameplay changes rather than graphical ones, while I'm sure that Valve's remake will handle both nicely. The general feedback I got from Banana was positive, but people didn't like the wooden reels being used. I replaced the T cover with a wall. It can be shot through and players can stack behind it on the bench to look over. The concussed gamer suggested letting CTs peek out from both sides of cover, so I also repositioned that stuff at the top, but carefully placed it to keep what worked with V1. I admit it was perhaps a little too hard for CTs to hold Banana before, so this additional cover should help them reclaim some ground. Bombsite B. I replaced the cart and its dodgy hit reg with sandbags and stuck the house out a bit more to give defenders with shotguns somewhere risky to hide from attackers. I kept the bangable wall but made it more robust and pretty. I added back the self-boost due to popular demand, though admittedly I've hardly ever seen somebody use it in practice. It's a little harder to do than it used to be, which should up the skill ceiling. I extended the bomb sight back out so that players can plant on the grill if they choose to. Here's a thought. I didn't change construction from V1, but there was a suggestion to connect it up to the far side of truck to give attackers an easier path to the bomb site. What does everybody think about this idea? Or is this a step too far for Inferno to handle? CT spawn. I raised the lattice thing to let players jump over the railings here, but alas, I clipped it all off so that you can no longer jump on top of it. I'm sure a lot of you will disagree with this, though I have to ask you what purpose this place had in the first place. It's a bit of a cheap shot with unfair visibility. I moved the APC back. People complained that it had poor hit reg, and I felt that removing it from the play area completely was the answer. I also moved the well over a bit. This lets CTs head directly from spawn to the site without having to walk around it, but it also makes it visible from B, letting attackers use it for a raised position to snipe the site from. Probably won't be used much in practice, but I thought it was an interesting suggestion. Library has been extended in perhaps the most radical change in this version of Infernu. The alternative entrance now links up with Motto or Nest or whatever you want to call this bit. From here you can bypass most of the choke point to A, but can no longer see players passing through Arch from here. Bombsite A. I also added back this crate to the site to make it look less empty. I'm not really happy with this argument though, as it sounds like more of a visual complaint than one of gameplay, but it will give people another place to hide on the site itself. I widened this archway to improve movement. This bangable wooden wall has now been replaced with a bangable full height stone one, which will give attackers more cover from those utilising Bombsite A's extra cover. To further improve movement, I removed the railing here, making entering and exiting balcony a lot less hassle. As pointed out by Level, a playtester, this could have knock-on consequences for the boost to windowsill and then to the roof area. I hope that playtesting will determine whether it's a positive improvement overall or not. Leftfoot suggested several things, one being to adjust the corners in mid to allow terrorists to clear one at a time. It may also give snipers better visibility into mid, but once again, playtesting will tell for sure whether this is true and whether or not this is actually a good thing. Balcony also got an overhaul, with the railing outside making movement easier and the door inside being shifted across to give CTs more, but not complete, cover from sniping terrorists. The biggest change has to be the addition of a bangable wall here, forcing players to use balcony room. The logic behind this was to cut down the number of entrances players had to check whilst clearing out the apartments, which should make fights involve less frustration and luck. Plus it can be shot through, which is awesome. I've added water to crawl space to punish those who rush through it quickly and have opened this bit up so it can be shot through either way, catching people off guard. There are now crates leading to apartments here, and in apartments themselves there's a new room that overlooks Banana because Calatify's post suggesting it got a fair few upvotes. And I rotated the hay bales here to allow easier access to the top for snipers to use to contest mid with. And lastly, T-spawn. I further opened up the main entrance to reduce blocking, but even this probably isn't enough to make things perfect. So to tide us over until the remake, I opened up the alternative one again and shifted the spawn points across to make it an equally viable route. It's not a perfect solution, but I think it works better than any version of Inferno to date, thanks to the shifted spawn points. In conjunction with the crates here, this might actually change the timings to A slightly, but I'm excited about it. Let's see what happens. In conclusion, a lot of risky changes. Thank you to everybody who suggested these. I included as many as I could, though obviously some would have conflicted with other suggestions. I hope that I've been as fair as I can be though. I'll be posting up a Reddit page where you can up and down vote each of these things that I've covered, but I'm not going to do it just yet. This is because I suspect a lot of suggestions received from V1 were made without them having even played the earlier version. People are quick to judge changes. I'm not saying that everything I've changed is positive, but I don't know for sure until playtesting has been done. Please follow the same mindset if you want to improve this map. But it's easy to do. Check the description for servers, get on them, and start playing Infernu Mark II.